They just refuse to fix this. And I'm not just talking about the start of this season or the last few games. For nearly half a decade now, whether the Raptors are trying to tank, whether they're trying to be competitive, it has been the exact same problem with this roster. The exact same problem plaguing this group. And we thought we may have fixed it with Jakob Poeltl coming in, and that did certainly help. But this team just has a complete lack of center depth. And even though Jakob Poeltl is a very effective center, I'm a fan of Jakob Poeltl. He's getting overhated right now by the fan base because he's trying to play through an injury. I respect the heck out of Jakob Poeltl, but just one center that is capable of consistently playing the five-man spot for nearly 5 years, 5 straight seasons. That's the only option you have at this point at that position. It's not going to work. I don't care how much Darko comes in, and he might coach his butt off. He might be a brilliant, super genius on the defensive end with schemes, aggression, all that stuff. If you are coming out in these games and you have a guy that's half the size of the other team's center trying to defend them out there at that point, it's not going to work. You are going to have what has happened for the past 4 games happen over and over and over and over again. You face against Giannis, you're going to dominate in the paint. You face against Victor Wembanyama, you get dominated in the paint. You face against Şengün. Heck, Steven Adams made our team look like a bunch of children out there. And if it wasn't for these Blue Jays getting a generational win right now, my head may have exploded because I am just sickened by this group. Because you know what? Tonight, we actually had a phenomenal offensive performance. There were moments where the Raptors went on a run. You can see it at the blimp there, the mid-second quarter, but it still wasn't even that close for any point. And the sole reason is this team is abolished on the defensive end. We are trash. We are just the worst. No matter how much we talked about this entire offseason about defense first, defense first, defense first, we are horrible on that end of the floor. Tonight, we gave up how many points? I can't even bring up the right scores. We scored 121, and we gave up 139 points to the Houston Rockets. And it was whatever they wanted. Whatever Houston wanted. They got in the lane. They got 3-pointers. They knocked down literally whatever. And the Raptors had a phenomenal offensive game. They came out and shot 52% from the 3-point line. If I told you the Raptors had a game this season where they shot 52% from the 3-point line, would you not just be overwhelmed, overhyped, just taking this to the next level? Like, that's an automatic win in 2025. They took 40 shots. They made 63 points behind the 3-point line, and you still lose this game. Brandon Ingram was automatic. Scottie Barnes was super effective. Heck, even Immanuel Quickley hit 4 threes. And you can't win? You can't win because this team refuses to fix this problem that has plagued them since Aaron Baines. Since the point that we lost Marc Gasol, we lost Serge Ibaka, we have had no depth. Looking back at our roster in 2021-22, we didn't have a guy over 6'9" beside. Was Baines even on this roster? I don't even know. But the Raptors have been experimenting. They've been trying. They've had this thought process. And yes, Bobby Webster is a part of this contingent. Some people blame Masai. Maybe Webster will fix it now. We shall see. It's early on in the year. But the Raptors, they have just succumbed this fan base. We have had to suffer through watching all of our defenders that are supposed to be elite, that are supposed to be effective out there around the defensive end. Colin Murray-Boyles has looked really, really good when he switched on to people defending on ball and stuff in Summer League preseason. But Jakob Poeltl's back. You know what happens? He's having to guard 5s. Colin Murray-Boyles is having to guard a guy that's like half a foot taller than him. It's not going to work. Yes, you have issues at the starting point guard position. Immanuel Quickley may have had a better statistical night tonight, but he just makes some boneheaded plays, some boneheaded moves, like specifically his transition offense, making weird passes. If he's off ball, rather than running a J cut to get a layup, rather than running to the corner for an open 3, he just stops above the break and just lets it fly from like a foot behind the 3-point line. Like, I don't know what we are doing with all of that other stuff, your RPGs and all of that, but the Toronto Raptors are not going to be able to win games. I don't care what X's and O's you want to draw up, what effort Darko Rajaković wants to talk about in his post-game presser and stuff like that, because frankly, from the eye test, watching this one, especially the first half, I had my eye on this Raptors game. The Blue Jays ended up taking the attention away the Toronto once, this game started to get messy, but The Toronto Raptors played with effort, man. They played with fight, and frankly, they played with a lot of offensive firepower. Like, they were really, really good on the offensive end. Brandon Ingram was unstoppable when he got the ball. It's honestly sickening. He only got 16 shots in this game when he made 11 of them and had 29 points, 4 assists, and stuff like that. You have Scottie Barnes out there, 31 points, was, had a moment out there where he was unstoppable from behind the three-point line, driving in, doing everything that you could want. Heck, Colin Murray-Boyles did his best out there, man. He knocked out 3 of 4 threes. Like, this is probably the best possible offensive game you could ask for. It's the best offensive game you could dream of, and they couldn't make it happen. And it's not even the players' fault. It's the roster construction that we have witnessed for years at this point. And yes, you have Jakob Poeltl. A healthy Jakob Poeltl does help some of these problems, does help some of these issues, and make things work. But what? Jakob Poeltl's first 2 full seasons with the Toronto Raptors, 50 games. So that's 32 games missed. With the Toronto Raptors last year, nearly 30 games missed once again. That is nearly half the year. That is nearly half the season. Both times he's been with the Toronto Raptors full time that he has been out for this group. And it's something you have to realize. It's something you have to figure out and plan for when you're building this roster. You can't just rely on a team that has CMB is a super undersized center trying to guard these bigs, trying to be a rim protector against these types of dudes night in, night out. Sandro Bamba-Kelashvili, both those guys have been great, but they're playing out of position, so they're not going to be able to do the things that's needed for this team to have an effective defense. If you just go out with this strategy night in, night out, you are going to lose. And now we're, in a season where we're supposed to be competitive, and, you come out, you lost 4 straight, you face Cleveland now, you face Memphis, you face the Hawks, the Milwaukee, you face this competitive group, and you just don't have an answer for any of these teams at the center position. You're facing Giannis again in the next 3 games. You're facing Jaren Jackson Jr., facing Evan Mobley. It doesn't get easier at the big man position. You need at least someone that can protect the rim. When Darko's running schemes, that's essentially the strategy, is just deflect and allow a lot of straight line drives and everything like that to happen. If you come out with this roster, this group, night in, night out, you just won't be able to get it done defensively. And it just makes it hurt that much more when there's question marks that people had about this roster, question marks people had about this team. It's working. The parts that we thought would suck, the offensive chemistry, how people would fit, the floor spacing and stuff. This team scored 121 points tonight against a team that has Amen Thompson, that's Tari Eason, that one of the best defenses in the NBA last year. That stuff is working, but something so simple, so rudimentary, that a kid playing 2K could figure it out in terms of roster construction, putting the puzzle pieces together. We haven't been able to get it right for nearly half a decade. And it's sickening that the fan base has to watch an undersized lineup go up against big after big after big, regular season after regular season after regular season, after they promised us hope. They gave us hope this year. They gave us hope, and what made it worse is they gave us game 1 where they won against the Atlanta Hawks. I am just fired up. I cannot watch this team with another undersized center again. It is just not good. It is not fun to watch. And right now, you look at our roster, it's 1 of 3. It's not even the right standings. I can't get it right, but we are in the bottom dwellers. It's still early on in the season, but this needs to get figured out, and the Raptors cannot have this just hole in their roster for any longer, or else I will absolutely explode on camera.